Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to a Thursday morning here, 10 o'clock California time, June 27th, 2024. Latest activity here on the globe shows a 1.1 into the area of California. Also, just seeing a 5.9 coming in to the area of the Kermadec Trench. Just seeing that seismic signature there, leaving the live data stations. Pretty large earthquake there north of the North Island region. Did look like it stirred up a little bit of activity north here along the plate boundary, much further away from this earthquake, obviously, but still associated with the same plate, the Pacific plate out here, making some decent adjustment out here today. It looks like there's that 5.9, 40 kilometers deep here into the Kermadec Islands. Not going to be associated with any type of tsunami. This area actually gets quite a bit of earthquake activity around this size. Quite often, and it would take a much larger quake to create a tsunami. But either way, it does look quite active out here across the western Pacific here in the last couple hours. New Zealand area, let's see if we got any further movement down here. It looks like a 3.3 coming in North Island, New Zealand area from earlier this morning. It looks like some deeper activity, of course, around the Tonga Trench. And goodness, it's just quite active out here in certain areas. Let's check up here into the Izu Trench and just off the coast here of Japan. Seeing a handful of earthquakes so far today. 4s appear to be the magic number. Fairly shallow for all of these earthquakes stirring up out here. Definitely looks like things are lighting up quite nicely in this area of the Pacific Plate. A couple earthquakes this morning as well near the Papua New Guinea area with a 5.2 and a 4.5. So literally within the last 12 hours or so, things have been on the uptick on a large scale out here. As far as California goes, got a couple earthquakes here in the last hour or so, lighting up in the red circles. As far as anything above the major, or not major, but the microquake level, looks like 2.5 here just south of the border near Mexicali. It looks like it's right on the border actually. 8 kilometers deep for that quake, and a handful, as you can see, a handful of other smaller microquakes up and down the southern portion of the state. So things could get active here with the movement of the Pacific Plate here this morning. A couple other earthquakes up and down the creeping segment of the San Andreas Fault. And not a whole lot going on across the Northern California area. Fairly quiet. Mount St. Helens still seeing a handful of smaller earthquakes there from last night. A look at the area into the Intermountain West regions here. Yellowstone got a little bit of earthquake activity this morning. 1.3 and a 0.3. Let's check out the latest overview here of Yellowstone National Park. Does look like a couple of those earthquakes here are going to be reported right about here. It does look like some type of thunderstorms rolled through there late last night. I'm guessing that's what that is. It doesn't look like anything other than some type of storms. Right now we do have some wind coming in. Pretty gusty up there, I'm sure, to create this type of reading on the graph. And again, those look like thunderstorms rolling through, not really earthquakes. Let me see here on the windy map, see what we got here for the latest weather up here across this area of Yellowstone National Park. I'd like to go here to the wind gust. That way we can see what's going on. Obviously, yeah, they got some big time winds up there today they have to deal with. 49 miles per hour, almost 50 miles per hour or so for the wind gust. Could get higher than, could be higher across certain other regions out here as far as the peaks and whatnot. So that is showing up on these seismograph stations out there in Yellowstone. Out in the Texas area, still getting some movement out in the oil fields. A couple sporadic random earthquakes up and down the state of Texas here. 3.3 coming in from yesterday. A couple other smaller quakes out there as well, just scattered out and about on a broader view. Nothing major going on out here across the eastern portion of the country. And fairly quiet in terms of any larger scale potential here across the Caribbean. Chile area did see a couple upper 4s, but this is very common for this area. No major movement to report there in that region for now. The Atlantic Ocean, a couple fours out there in the mid-Atlantic ridge. I think those are from yesterday. And a little bit of activity in the divergent zones here of the Indian Ocean. Got a 4 point... what was that? Let's see here. 4.7 coming in out here. Not being reported by the USGS, but it does look like it's out here in the mid-Indian Basin area. Or the ridge, excuse me. Out here in the zipper zone. Of course, that's a new oceanic crust being formed throughout time. The area of the Mediterranean region got a decent amount of fours out here today. Look at all those fours up and down the region. The latest one, a 4.1 from in Afghanistan from yesterday. So the majority of these quakes definitely from yesterday, but let's see what we got for newer activity. Some smaller movement quakes there following those fours from yesterday, but doesn't look like anything further large scale has taken place out there. Definitely keep an eye here on the west or the western areas of the Pacific Plate. That's a lot of adjustment going on here right now in a short amount of time period. As you can see up and down the plate boundary here, you can pretty much follow a trail of activity down to our latest quake here of 5.9 into the Kermadec Trench area. Up here in the Alaska region, most of these from yesterday. Did see a couple threes, even another 4-pointer out here inland. Looks like that's going to be on the Canada side out here. 4.3, 10 kilometers deep earlier this morning. The Hawaii area, as far as any volcanic activity goes, just a waiting game up here. Still seeing some movement off here north of the Loihi Seamount. 2.1 coming in yesterday, fairly deep though. I don't think we've seen anything major going on here as far as any changes go, but let's double check the inflation chart there across the Kilauea volcano. See if we got anything to discuss here this morning. Still at a yellow in advisory. The deformation data will show us what's going on, and we're still quite inflated. A little bit of leveling out here. We've been noticing this obvious stair-stepping event here recently since the last eruption, but you know, the last eruption was a very short-lived eruption there earlier this month for about 10 hours on the southwestern rift zone over there. But yeah, things are still going up and up, up and up and up is the key right now. Got to keep an eye on that for sure. Space weather activity, things are mellowing out here. Not looking at too much M-flare activity here recently. The sunspots that are currently facing the Earth are, well, they are super disorganized here. This is for, well, I guess that's still 3723, but this is a former sunspot here that had produced many X-flares here recently and last month's historic aurora events. Looks super disorganized. I don't think we're going to see much out of this sunspot this go around. And we're left with a whole bunch of disorganized sunspots out here. There's really not a whole lot of complex activity going on out there, so the flare threat will remain somewhat low until we see something kick up. There is a potential G1 class storm that we have to watch here towards the end of the 28th UTC time. Don't think we're going to see much out of this, but they are forecasting maybe a G1 class storm. Here's tomorrow's forecast here. Not a big deal. KP index up around the 4 range. There's the aurora forecast, and we'll be lucky if we get any of that tomorrow. We'll kind of watch that. It's just going to be a barely a glancing hit from a CME that kicked off here a couple days ago. All right, Storm Prediction Center out here. Got enhanced area for severe weather across the northern plains states, including tornado activity. Wind appears to be the big-time threat, along with some large damaging hail. It is that time of year where things start to shift from the south up north, even further up into Canada at times here. So just stay weather aware if you're out there in this region today. Pretty decent threat of some severe weather. Tomorrow's outlook a little bit further to the south here with a little tornado potential. Wind and hail threats appear to be the main potential severe weather threats tomorrow in these areas. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off here. Again, keep an eye on the Pacific Plate. We are definitely in movement right now, and when things get elevated like this, that's a good time to be on guard because we got a lot of activity up and down the Pacific Plate here today. So stay safe. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening.